Hello, everybody. I'm Rajendra Vaidya, and thanks for joining this webinar. Today's topic is build, grow, manage your remote teams.
So basically, this webinar is mostly sharing my personal experiences around building these remote teams. Now I would say specifically in India, and how different companies have benefited out of it. We have done almost 80 plus projects till date and helped foreign companies set up their remote teams. But typically nowadays, because it has become a very usual term in the business language, or the remote team, most of the people would know what is remote team. But let me start with that. And my agenda that I'm going to cover is starting from what is remote team, something very basic, which probably most of you would know. And then we would cover what are the benefits, which companies typically would get benefited with this strategy, how to build strategies around building a remote team, how to manage remote team, what are the challenges around it, and once you build this remote team, or make a decision to build remote team, where to build, because one would have options in 180 plus countries. So where to build one, and what are different methods in which companies build their remote teams, and currently which are the most trending ones. This is what I'm going to cover in this coming 30 minutes. At end, we may have a quick Q&A. So keep your questions for that session. So let's start with first point, that is, what is remote teams? Okay. As everybody nowadays talk about it, but honestly, this is nothing new about it. The whole remote team concept started way back in 1970, when telecommunication industry grew well and it was doing extending its network all across. That was the time people started exploring the possibilities of building remote team. But essentially, remote team is any team which sits away from your head office, okay, or from the workplace. You can term it as a remote team. It could be within your state, within your country, outside your country. As long as the team working on the project is not on the site or not with the main team, you can call that as a remote team. Okay. In present context, people term remote team for the team which are built outside their own countries. Now, this is the current notion around remote teams, or current meaning of the remote teams. But as I would explain it, any team which is away from your main team is a remote team. And as I said, this is nothing new. People have been trying this. IBM probably was the first one to try it in a decade of 1970. And since then, it is gaining a lot of confidence in the management teams to reap the benefits of it. Now, having said that, typically, whenever you build a remote team, the question comes up saying, what benefits I should look for? Why I should have a remote? Very obvious business question, right? So there are multiple benefits people have got out of this model. Cost saving is one of the biggest benefits, I would say. Second, in the current scenario, the important benefit is to tap into the talent pool. I have come across a lot of entrepreneurs who within their country could not find the right resources. And so they opted to build their remote teams and take an advantage of availability of that talent pool in that country or in that region. That is the second most important thing. Third thing is building remote teams also gives you an extremely good exposure of that region, by which you can think of expanding in those areas as to sell your products or services. Fourth is people can think of taking advantage of time zones. Most importantly, nowadays, people also use it to increase their productivity. When I say time zone, if you get into a very contrast time zone, then almost 24/7 your operations are on, right? That's what I mean by productivity. This also increases flexibility. But again, all this flexibility and the work-life balance, all these issues or the advantages are very situational. So I would say the key benefits are the first four, as I told you. Now, the next point or the next thought that comes to anybody's mind is, okay, I know these benefits are there, and but are those benefits for my business? Because my business is unique, my business is different, or I do it differently. This is one of the typical concern I have seen most of the decision makers have. I have heard a lot about remote team, but will that really benefit me? And the simple, straightforward answer that I give is almost every organization, every business, every company can be benefited using this method. The degree of benefit may differ, and that would come out of the strategy that you build or the benefits you want to see. Yes, every company can reap benefits of building remote teams. There is one more way of answering this question: is will my business or will my company be benefited? Is you can look at the functions of your business which can be remotely handled. Say I'm manufacturing some components, auto components per se. My company would certainly have a marketing department. I would have an IT department. I will have an accounts department. So all these functions of my business, I can get benefited of all the benefits that I talked about, cost saving and productivity, by having a remote team of these functions. So irrespective of what business one is into, if you correctly identify the function of your business where you can potentially increase the productivity or reduce the cost or get a right talent pool for yourself, your business will get benefited. So there are two ways of looking at the benefit and who can get benefited, right? So this is how I would answer this question. It's a two-bone question, and this is how I address it. Now comes the most important question is, yes, I have, okay, let's assume that my business is going to get benefited, but then how do I build strategy around it? What should I be thinking about when I say, okay, I want to build a remote team? How do I strategize around it? So it's very involved question, and I must say it requires a lot of thought in it. And probably you can look forward to this discussion of ours to get some elements of those strategy. Classically, there are 5 questions your strategy should answer to. Then that will give birth to the strategy that your organization should adopt. Firstly, clearly define what benefits you are looking for. That's the first and the most important question. Okay. Then second question is, in that strategy for my team, can I hire right team members? Do I have exact job description for which I'm trying to build the remote team? If not, that becomes an important aspect in building your strategy to say, okay, this is the job description, this is the profile that I should be looking for to in building my remote team. Third important question is, okay, now they are remote, how do I communicate with them? What are the communication methods, tools, protocols that I'm going to use? Okay. So when I talk about tool, it's not only communication, it's a productivity tool also. So the collaborative platforms or the softwares that you would want to make this remote team use, that clarity and identification of those tools is the fourth important aspect. Now, fifth is non-tangible aspect of this team building, which is a very soft aspect, is how do I foster the positive team culture out there in the remote team? How do I make them really, how do I really clearly state the expectations for my team? Okay. And when I say communication on my list of 5 as the third point, it also at a time becomes important to say what language I'm going to communicate. Okay. As of now, English is being used as one of the languages across the boundaries. But yes, if you are a company with people speaking Spanish, where you are going to put your remote team into, that should suffice. Okay, so language barriers also need to be resolved. So when I talk about soft aspect, building a strategy around those soft aspect, it is also important to understand the cultural aspect of the country or the place where I am building the remote team. So if you have answers to these 5 things or clarity on these 5 things, that will build your strategy. Okay. But one important question we have not addressed yet is, what should be the destination of my remote team? Where should I build it? What should be the location of it? Now here, this is a very important question to answer, which is a subset of what first 5 points we talked about. Is if my strategy is to reduce on cost, certainly the location should be where the cost is less. If my important strategy element is to find out the right talent pool, then the destination will automatically get driven by that. The language aspect will drive the location. The cultural aspect will drive the location. So where do I form my remote team is actually a subset or a sub-question of first 5 things. And that will automatically emerge once you answer first 5 important elements to build your strategy. So now that we have come to location, let me suggest you some of the locations which are predominantly used by most of the companies globally. Of course, India is one of the top locations as of now, for a variety of reasons like availability of talent and the cost advantage that you get, the English-speaking crowd that you have, and variety of other things. So even the culture of working for foreign companies is well set here, and things like that. But along with India, similar advantages are also seen in Philippines or Ukraine. Nowadays, it's tough to build teams in Ukraine, but yes, a few years back, Ukraine was also a good destination. Poland is one, and Mexico is the one. So these are 4 or 5 top destinations that you can look for. I'm not suggesting that other destinations are no good. It all ultimately depends on your strategy. But yes, these are the 5 top destinations, and by far India is considered the topmost at the moment. So now after understanding these different elements of building remote team strategy, the important question comes up saying, okay, now how do I manage it? Okay, I have decided the destination, I have decided what benefits I should draw. Uh, so when I get into an issue of how do we manage the remote team, there are two aspects to it. One is the logistical aspect, second is the soft aspect. When I say logistical, I would say, how do I source the talent pool? How do I select? What should be my selection procedure? What tools and what hardware they should use? What kind of communication protocols, which we have already built into the strategy. So it becomes that much simpler to go on addressing, managing it. But most of the people I have seen that they assume a lot of things when it comes to management of remote team. The nuances of cultural aspects, soft issues of building the team, understanding their aspirations, understanding the cultural nuances of the location where you are building the remote team, they start becoming very, very critical. And for that, you can Google it and you have a lot of content around it, but never ever lose focus of managing the soft aspect of your remote teams. Okay, so these are the two important part. One is the logistics and the hard aspect of managing the remote team, and coming to the soft aspect of it. When it comes to challenges, I would say I need to combine the list of challenges and how to manage aspect, because they are kind of one and the same. So suppose when we get into management of the team or management of remote team, one of the challenges comes up is goals are not clear. Okay, objectives are not clear. And that, if you define well, it becomes a very good tool to manage this remote team. Hiring strategy. If you don't hire right kind of people who have clarity about communication, there are no language barriers and all the aspects of communication, then you are solving one more challenge. Mind you, this becomes one of the big challenges when you are handling remote teams. Establishing communication and collaboration platforms is a very, very key aspect here. And that's how you would provide the right tools and minimize the challenges around the technology aspect of it. Expectation clarity is one more thing, because when I say different cultures have, people coming from different cultures have different aspirations and different way of looking at work. So expectation clarity is very important again. Mind you, these are again becoming softer issues more than the hard tools and technology aspects, right? So you'll have to also invest in their training and getting them to your expectations. That also becomes one of the important aspect of managing the remote teams or resolving challenges around the expectations. Once you have addressed these challenges, you would also expect some additional benefits year over year, right? So measuring progress, measuring the level of meeting your expectation and then adjusting around it becomes an important part of, again, the strategy year over year that you would draw. Again, here I'm not going to get into tools and collaborative platforms. Plenty of information available on the net for that. So though it is an important part of managing remote teams, but I'm not going to get into it. It is available out in the cloud. I briefly discussed about where do we build the remote team, like the locational aspect of it. And I gave the destination countries. I suggested some of the destination countries. But when I'm going to elaborate on it, within that country, there could be a lot of locations wherein you would prefer to have your team coming and sitting together. If you want somebody to work out of the team to work out of the same office, if you expect them to work from their home, and if you are okay with distributed team completely in that remote location, then in that country, you have to be also very specific about the cities, because not that you will get the kind of infrastructure that you expect your team to have in each and every city or each and every part of the country that you are planning to work in. So here the location has an additional aspect of actual location of the resource. Okay, so this would also become a critical aspect. Now coming to the next point of methods of building remote teams. So this is something very interesting and very unique, I would say. What are the methods? How do we build it? Okay, some people would opt for freelancers, contractors. Nowadays a lot of portals which have come out, which gives you access to remote employees who can work for you on a freelance basis or a contractual basis. Second proven method is outsource that work. So you say, okay, this is my work. You identify an agency who has the kind of resource that you're looking for, and give them the work and get that executed. Third way of looking at this could be also, okay, I have identified the location. I know what I want to get out of this remote team. So let me build my own entity there in that country or in that region and form my team there. Mind you, all these three aspects have their own advantages and disadvantages, as any and everything in the world has. But if you do not want to get into legalities of it, if you want to make entire remote team experience seamless, I would suggest to go for an agency who would help you find resources, do their legal compliances, help you manage that team, help you manage the infrastructural aspect. And such agencies are nowadays called as employer of record agencies, EOR. Okay, so this could be the fourth and most beneficial option probably for you, depending on, again, your strategy, why you are building that team in a remote place. So this is a very important aspect, that what method or model do I choose to build my remote team? Because this also has a cost aspect to it and business risk aspects to it. So choose between the four very, very carefully. Now coming to the fee structure, which is most important aspect, like what fees I should expect if I am getting into certain countries. So if you are going to go freelancers way or a contractor way, then whatever cost that freelancer is asking you for, if that fits into your budget, yes, that's the only cost. There are no extra fees beyond the bank fees while you remit the money. But here you should know whether you can remit the money to that location. Okay. If you are doing an outsource, giving your work to an outsourcing agency, they are going to charge you either a fixed fee on on the job that you are asking them to do, or they would say T&M, that is time and material basis of the resources. And that could be a bit costly because then they would charge you the overheads, their profits, and everything on it. Third option of building a subsidiary, it has a lot of initial cost. In first two models, you have no initial cost. but building a subsidiary would have its own initial cost and also the cost of running it. So at the time, this could be one of the costliest options. But the fourth option, which I would recommend you to go for, which is an EOR option. Here there are two aspects. It is very clearly cost plus basis type of an fee structure. And that when it comes to cost plus, that plus could be either on a percentage basis or a fixed fee basis. And all the exercises that we have done till date in all four possible modes, this has turned out to be the most cost effective for most of our customers. So hopefully with all this done by I'm sure you have got a perspective around how to build, how to grow, and how to manage the remote teams. But I'm sure there are lots of doubts and queries around it. So I'm open for answering any question of yours anytime without any obligations or business commitments. So feel free to reach out to me on my email address that is here or through my company website. Thank you.